Hi guys, this is Raquel with Paints and Glitter, and welcome to part 3 of this Christmas mini album tutorial. I am going to show you a few more page styles, and here what you're seeing is that I took what is the designer piece of paper that will be on my page. I cut it about, I would say about 2/3 of a way down, and I used the one piece that I cut off and layered it on top of another piece of black cardstock, and then I took another piece of black and white cardstock here that's also the designer paper and layered that right on top for a couple of reasons. One is because my base layer there wasn't exactly straight, but another reason was to give it another kind of decorative element here to what's going to be this pocket. And what I did also is that I took some straps of what should be for a purse. So I did use another one of my die cuts there from a different collection. And it's supposed to be for a purse. I think I mentioned that. So what I did was that I wanted to use it as if it were a belt. I thought this would look really cute on these pages because it's a more it's a flatter element, and it eliminates bulk on the page, and it also looks really adorable. It almost looks like a Christmas sweater or, you know, a little Christmas outfit, I thought. So here I decided to finish it off also with this really kind of glimmery black ribbon, if you will. And it's got a really wonderful texture to it, and I thought it would just be perfect on these pages. So there are going to be 2 pages just like this, kind of mirror images, as I mentioned in my previous video, that I do like to create page layouts that are exactly the same next to one another. And so there you saw my little pocket there. And the second style page that I'm going to show you in this video here is actually going to be a little more interactive. So here what I've done is I'm laying down my designer paper onto the black cardstock that's going to be the base for this entire mini album. I cut off a little excess there because, like I mentioned before, those dies for some reason were cutting a little bit different. However, I'm using here 2 pieces that I cut out of a different memory book collection die, and you do have the option with that other die set to cut out those little holes from your paper, and that could be used in many different ways. What I did was that I mirrored the image there. As you can tell, I just used 2 different plaids, and this is going to be on this page as if it were another kind of like window or notebook element. I don't know how you would call it, but it'll be interactive and it's going to open and close. And what I did was that I cut one of the hinges a little bit longer and the other one a little bit shorter, and you're going to see here what I mean about that. So this little black and white piece of paper is going to layer right behind the lighter plaid, but inside of that I also placed a little magnet. So that's why I cut that one a little bit shorter, so that it wouldn't, that fold would not be blocked from moving, I guess is how I would describe that. Now here is the decorative element of this page. I think it's absolutely darling, and I like these little hole reinforcers. So what I did was that I cut them out of the gold cardstock that I'm using throughout this collection, and it is it did come with the Merry Days paper collection. So I just cut those out, and I did reinforce the back of that same die cut that I had shown you, the buffalo plaid in black and white. I did reinforce those also. I just didn't show it in the video. So here what I've done is I'm doing the same thing I did in another page in this mini album, which is to cut the slit right into the background paper of where I'm going to be hiding that hinge. And that is, again, to eliminate bulk in the mini album and also just to give it a cleaner look. But here's what's pretty about this is you can take twine, and I did try using the Merry Days twine, but it was just far too thick. So I just used embroidery floss here that I had on hand in 2 different colors, red and the candy cane or striped red and white color. I tied a little knot there, and I went back and I just did little square knots both on the front and the back of this. And I like to use a thicker embroidery needle also, just to let you know. So I feed that through. I did cut 2 slits, so if you see there, they are parallel to each other, and that allowed me to feed both of those hinges right into that page. And then I selected another piece of paper to be kind of the base there. And what I've done there is I took the little magnet, placed a little bit of adhesive on it, and when I moved the page, that little magnet adhered onto the base. So that allowed me to go ahead and close that nicely. And I also am adhering, of course, those tabs to what's going to be the inside of that page. Now, I had actually placed the adhesive on the wrong side, but no big deal there. I just went ahead and worked with that, and I covered it back up there because I didn't actually need all of that adhesive there. So here's my page, and what you're seeing me do there is making sure that it's all going to work, adding adhesive wherever I think is needed, which was right behind that one little piece there. I'm burnishing that, and that's going to give me a nice clean edge. Here's the mirror image of that page, and here I'm just adding adhesive to, of course, that one element that's going to be right on the base. So here I'm going a little bit slower and again, that's because I sometimes need to be able to breathe here. But this is going to go right along that edge. So what you can do is just cut your papers in the same manner, and the only thing you're going to do in this case is to flip them over and by cutting that slit on the other side of the page. And you can do the exact same design, and this gives you almost like a gatefold look, but you're still using the flips and flaps, you know, in different in different directions. I was at a loss for words there. Let's go to the next page. Now, in this case, I am just going to do a simple pocket, but I'm going to use a different die here. Now, if you recognize that shape, if you don't, I should say, that is from a different die set, which is for a purse, but I like to use what I have on hand. I don't like to limit myself as to the use of my dies, and this is why I decided to include this in this mini album, was just to give another example of using what you have on hand, okay? So what I did, as you can tell, was that I layered that same type of die cut 2 times, and then I'm just cutting off the excess off the edges there. And what I did was that I tried to make sure not to block off that corner on the bottom, those beveled corners. And then I still have a really nice size pocket on both of those pages, and it almost looks like little hills to me, which is why I liked it. Now the very last page of this mini album is super simple because I do want to use some of those decorative element pieces that I got from the Merry Days collection. So I'm just adding the same color paper that I used on the very first page, and then these little frames, which came from a different Merry book collection die set. I'll just place them here with more decorative paper, and that is now going to go right into this book in the same manner that I adhered all of the other ones. As you can tell, they are going to be pockets, so I just place adhesive on the 2 sides, and that way I can adhere both of the pages and make sure that that page is nice and close to the spine there, of course. And adhering those 2 sides with the wet glue, that allows me to create that top pocket and also then adhere the spine. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this series. I'm going to hopefully be showing you another video just showing you guys how I decorated these pages throughout. I'm going to be keeping it quite simple. I'm not going to do anything else that's elaborate. The remainder of this video or series, I should say, is going to be just showing you guys how I topped off some of these pages, as well as the front and the spine of my book. But as you can tell, it closes nicely, I did want to show that, and it's just going to close with the one ribbon. And I also am including little tags there, and because I'm keeping this mini album, I did not yet adhere those little frames, but I wanted to give you guys examples of the types of tags and things that you could put inside of this mini album. As you can see, you don't have to make it too elaborate. It's really up to you how much you want to add into a mini album. You just want to make sure that you take into account the amount of room that you have, not only on your spine, but on the edges of your paper, so that you can fit everything in that you like. And of course, you know, it's all about having fun and preserving your memories. But here's the example of that, and I hope you join me in the next video, that you're having a wonderful Christmas, and thank you so much for watching. Be inspired and be blessed. Bye-bye.